No one said that the path is going to be easy. And it's not. We know life is rough, and we know there will be pain, and whether that pain is at the hands of an enemy or at the hands of nature or time or disease, there will be pain.
It's an urge. Truth be told, every champion has felt it. Every president has felt it. Every king has felt it. Every lion has felt it. Every winner has felt it. Every soldier has felt it. Every victorious person has felt it. The urge to quit.
Often when people are embittered and resentful and feel like they're victims, it's because really awful things have happened to them. Now, not always, but often. And so then the question is, well, if you're in a situation and something really awful is happened to you or has happened to you, then, well, why shouldn't you feel like a victim? And is there a better alternative? Thousands have come before you and they did just fine. So quit your complaining. And it's not because you have nothing to complain about. That's not the case. It's that that's not the right approach. The fact is, and this is such an optimistic fact, as well as a judgment in some sense, the fact is that if someone else can do it, so can you. And that's something, right? If you're reading about the great heroes in history, people who are in these terrible situations, and you see someone rise to the occasion, and then you can say, well, that was a person who did that, and I'm a person, and so maybe I have that capacity too, even though I don't know how to approach it.
Don't allow that inner doubt in you to tell you why you're not good enough. You ignore that inner voice and all of the external voices. Don't judge the possibilities for what you can do based upon the circumstances, because the circumstances won't determine who you are. Doesn't matter how many mistakes you've made. Doesn't matter how much money you've lost. In fact, I see it only as an investment, what you learn from life.
You don't stop when you're tired. You stop when you're done. You stop when you complete it and you execute it. This is where you start separating the successful from the unsuccessful. Just because it says trial on the package, or tribulation on the package, or pain on the package, it don't mean it ain't a blessing inside, and most of you turn around when you see pain. But those of us who had a right perspective, we approach it when it say pain. When we see trial, tribulation, we don't give up or give in. We know the blessing is on the inside. We don't give up. We don't surrender. We don't quit. We see differently. Our perspective is different. And because our perspective is different, our outcomes are different. Our rewards are different.
If you haven't learned something from periods of suffering, if you haven't wrung the juices of your own pain and drank them, for your own nourishment, you have wasted your experience and missed the chance to expand capacity for being stronger the next time. That these seasons arrive at your door. My mental outcomes were a consequence of my habits. And my habits were a consequence of my choices. It is true that character is to some extent innate. Our genetic makeup imbues in us certain proclivities. But it is as true that character is mostly a consequence of choices. We all make them, and we should make them deliberately with the knowledge that these choices are part of our responsibility toward a purpose other than our own selfish aim. That responsibility is to your family, friends, community, and country. You have purpose in this life. God has you here for a reason. You may not know it, but He does. Your job is to find it. No one else can. You need to understand that your purpose may be great in the eyes of the world, or it may be commonplace and seemingly small. Your purpose might be your family, your children. Your purpose might be tutoring a child and changing their life. Your purpose might be the business you started. Your purpose might be cleaning up your block. Your purpose might be in the help you give others. Your purpose might be in the example you set. Only you and God know. Only you and God need to know. Search until you find it. And until then, act as if you have it, because you're wasting time otherwise.
There's something in you that wouldn't allow you to stop. Dr. Howard Thurman. You said there's something in each and every one of you that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in yourself. It will be perhaps the only guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, all of your life, your days will be spent on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. And I say to you, the reason you showed up, even though you couldn't afford to be here, the reason you drove hundreds of miles, flew around the world, there's something in you, in your heart of hearts, that said, I'm not going to let anybody pull my strings. It said, I'm going to control my own personal economy. It said, I've got a dream I want to achieve. I want my children to have a choice of the kind of education that they want. That said, I am the captain of my ship. That said, I'm going to control my destiny. And whatever it takes, I'm willing to do the work. 1961. President John F. Kennedy had a decision to make. The decision was whether or not to call a news conference and tell the world the United States was going to go to the moon. And I submit to you that the decision to do that is very risky. And what governed his thinking is what governed your thinking when you decided, I'm going to do this. See, the technology did not exist. The answer of what will it take did not exist. No one had ever done it before. But he made a decision. He looked at Werner von Braun, the most brilliant scientist of that day. And he said, Werner, what will it take for us to go to the moon? And he spoke 5 words. And those 5 words, I think, is what governs most entrepreneurs. Those 5 words, I think, is what give people like you the courage to pursue their dreams. Those 5 words is what I think people who are pioneers, people who are breaking new ground, make decisions on. He said, what will it take for us to go to the moon? And the response was, the will to do it. As you look at yourself, as you look at your business, what will it take for you to increase your business? The will to do it. What will it take for you to become more powerful in your presentation skills and be able to increase the number of people, to quadruple your business? The will to do it. What will it take for you when others are quitting because of the rejections, when others are stopping because they just become so discouraged and they have creditors breathing down their neck and they have family members and friends telling them they're a fool? What is it that will allow you to have the mental resiliency to keep on keeping on, to keep your commitment to your commitment? The will to do it. Every time I say it and ask you a question, I want you to say the will to do it. What will it take for you to build your business? What will it take for you to increase your recruiting? What will it take for you to bring out the greatness in you and to make your mark? What will it take for you to become a high achiever and to bring out the billionaire in you? Shake someone's hand on your right and left and say, I've got the will. I've got the will.
I have always had the deep understanding for myself that if anything was going to move forward in my life, that I was going to have to be responsible for making that happen. I know that to be true now and can articulate it as you are responsible for your life. And if you're sitting around waiting on somebody to save you, to fix you, to even help you, you are wasting your time, because only you have the power to take responsibility to move your life forward. And the sooner you get that, the sooner your life gets into gear. This is what I know from doing 25 years and thousands of interviews on the Oprah Show. It does not matter where you come from. I have seen people come out of the desert, walk across the desert, being born in the most dire of circumstances. Doesn't matter what your mama did, whether she did or had a PhD or no D. What matters is now, this moment, and your willingness. Forgive the past, take responsibility, and move forward.
You need activation energy to start the change. That's the key to creating any kind of change.
That's the ethical requirement of individual being in the proper sense, is to constantly know that you're not what you could be, to take responsibility for that, and to commit yourself, like body and soul, to the attainment of that ideal.
You think about the times when you're at peace with yourself with regards to how you're conducting yourself in the world. It's almost always conditions under which you adopt responsibility. The most guilt I think that you can experience is the sure knowledge that you're not even taking care of yourself, so that you're leaving that responsibility to others. There is no capability difference between you and someone you consider to be an ultimate role model of success. The only difference is they've learned to use their mind and body with more power on a consistent basis. They've learned to manage their state. They've learned to use their body effectively. Whether they know it or not consciously doesn't matter. And they've learned to control their mental focus. Remember, whatever we concentrate our focus on consistently and strive to learn from and make new distinctions about, we will get great at it.
I need you to evaluate yourself and ask yourself the question, how do you life? When you hear the word notice it, when you have a trial or tribulation, how do you life? You hold on to it very tightly.
Do you realize that every day you thought you wasn't gonna make it? Do you remember them days when you thought it was absolutely unbearable and you thought you wasn't gonna endure that one? Do you know that your survival rate for every last one of them bad days is 100%? You survived every hater, you survived all the addictions, you survived the firings, you survived all the trouble you ever been in. Your survival rate is 100%.
One of the things you gotta understand, my friend, is that you're supposed to fail. You're supposed to fail because failure is the stepping stone to success. It's not just cliche. Failure is an experience that lends to wisdom that ultimately makes you a stronger version of yourself.
Like, until I make my dreams become a reality, I'm not quitting. I don't care how much money I have to invest. I'm going to continue to do this until I become successful. Right? I've got a rule called the show up rule. Right? Somebody said you can pretend that you care, but you can't pretend that you're there. The only way you can be there is to show up. And what I'm asking you to do for me, you will never be a failure if you show up every single day. Every single day when I come, I show up and I let failure know. Failure is not an option. So what, it takes 12 years to get a point. Failure is not an option. Failure is not an option. You can't even let it sink into your brain. It's not even a second. You have to know that this thing is going to work. Come bad or high water, whatever it is that I set out to do, it may not happen in 6 months, it may not happen in a year, it may not happen in 2 years, but at some point, my dream is going to become a reality.
Concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions. Yes, you can, if you do everything as if it were the last thing you were doing in your life, and stop being aimless, stop letting your emotions override what your mind tells you, stop being hypocritical, self-centered, irritable. You see how few things you have to do to live a satisfying and reverent life. If you can manage this, that's all even the gods can ask of you. Do not disturb yourself by picturing your life as a whole. Do not assemble in your mind the many and varied troubles which have come to you in the past and will come again in the future, but ask yourself with regard to every present difficulty, what is there inevitable and beyond? Endurance. You would be ashamed to confess it. And then remind yourself that it is not the future or what has passed that afflicts you, but always the present. And the power of this is much diminished if you take it in isolation and call your mind to task if it thinks that it cannot stand up to it when taken on its own. Think of your many years of procrastination, how the gods have repeatedly granted you further periods of grace, of which you have taken no advantage. It is time now to realize the nature of the universe to which you belong and of that controlling power whose offspring you are, and to understand that your time has a limit set to it. Use it then to advance your enlightenment, or it will be gone and never in your power again. Men seek retreats for themselves, houses in the country, seashores and mountains. And thou too art wont to desire such things very much. But this is altogether a mark of the most common sort of men. For it is in thy power, whenever thou shalt choose, to retire into thyself. For nowhere, either with more quiet or more freedom from trouble, does a man retire than into his own soul, particularly when he has within him such thoughts that by looking into them he is immediately in perfect tranquility. And I affirm that tranquility is nothing else than the good ordering of the mind. Constantly then give to thyself this retreat and renew thyself. And let thy principles be brief and fundamental, which as soon as thou shalt recur to them will be sufficient to cleanse the soul completely, and to send thee back free from all discontent with the things to which thou returnest. For with what art thou discontented? With the badness of men? Recall to thy mind this conclusion, that rational animals exist for one another, and that to endure is a part of justice, and that men do wrong involuntarily. And consider how many already after mutual enmity, suspicion, hatred, and fighting have been stretched dead, reduced to ashes, and be quiet at last. But perhaps thou art dissatisfied with that which is assigned to thee out of the universe. Recall to thy recollection this alternative. Either there is providence or atoms, fortuitous concurrence of things, or remember the arguments by which it has been proved that the world is a kind of political community, and be quiet at last. But perhaps corporeal things will still fasten upon thee. Consider then further that the mind mingles not with the breath, whether moving gently or violently, when it has once drawn itself apart and discovered its own power. And think also of all that thou hast heard and assented to about pain and pleasure, and be quiet at last. But perhaps the desire of the thing called fame will torment thee. See how soon everything is forgotten, and look at the chaos of infinite time on each side of the present, and the emptiness of applause, and the changeableness and want of judgment in those who pretend to give praise, and the narrowness of the space within which it is circumscribed, and be quiet at last. For the whole earth is a point, and how small a nook in it is this thy dwelling, and how few are there in it, and what kind of people are they who will praise thee?
Do you have the strength and the wisdom to push forward? It's difficult for many of us. It's hard to let go when you work so hard to get what you have gotten along the way. But here we are. We must understand within ourselves that every challenge requires focus, requires faith, requires dedication and discipline. There's no reason for you to be down on yourself. There's no reason for you to feel sad about yourself. In reality, we are so much more. So keep looking up and know there are going to be many days that you will have to face things that are not going to be what you want it to be. There are going to be many days when you just don't feel you have the strength to carry on. There are going to be many days when you just want to give up. But you know that you cannot. All you want to do is complain about it, crying about it, wondering about it, hoping that somebody will jump on that misery train with you and take a ride. And all you got to do is just say, not today. Complaining? Nah, I'm planning. I'm planning for the attack. I'm planning to do better. I'm planning to go up, planning to do what's right for me. This is another chapter in your life. This is another testimony that you will share, that you will let others know that, yes, I've been knocked down, but when I got down, I knew what I had to do to get back up again. I had to believe, I had to have faith, and I had to trust again. Let it be known that you are the best. And the best knows, believes, and trusts that they will get up again. This is the time to understand what you are dealing with, what you are facing, what you must do to move forward again and do you. You can't change people. You can't make people do what you want them to do. Everybody's not going to listen to you. Everybody doesn't want what you want. So we can complain all we want. Sometimes we just got to stay in our lane and go our own way. But as long as you have a beating heart and your lungs are functioning and your eyes are open, you will get back up again. You will press on and you will live strong. And you will fight until there's nothing else left to fight for. And just keep it moving. Your business, it's work. Your life, it's work. Your purpose, it's work. Escape. Find a place that no one else can find you. Be the best of yourself and never give up. Find a place within yourself that no one else can touch. Find a place of peace and harmony. Be able to recognize your purpose. Be able to believe once again in you. When no one else believes in you, be the person that believes in you yourself. No one deserves to take that happiness from you. Don't give people that much power. Don't give negative energy that much power. The best never quits. The best knows how to get back up and rise again. The best doesn't stay on the ground for too long, because the best understands that even though you're down, you must have the capabilities to get up. Work, effort, purpose, will. This is what is needed. This is how you get through it. But if you got a bunch of negative noise surrounding you, if you got a bunch of negative things happening around you, you'll never be able to see the promised land. You'll never be able to see the truth within yourself. Something knocked you down. Something held you back. Why did this happen? Was it supposed to happen? Why did you have to go through this particular fallback when you work so hard? Well, I'm here to let you know the best, sometimes they do fall. But as long as you have a beating heart and your lungs are functioning and your eyes are open, you will get back up again. Believe in yourself. Work towards the greatness that you have within you. Look up and see your true potential. See what you are capable of. Know what you are capable of. Fight for what you are capable of. This is the fight of your life. And you have to work. You have to trust it. You have to stand on it. You will not bow down. You will not give up. You will work. You will push. And you will give everything that you have for today and for the rest of your life. Be productive, be strong, and from the bottom of my heart, conduct your business.
There's another kind of instinct that you need to be on the lookout for, and this one is a liar. This one is a saboteur. This one is a backbiter. This is the instinct that says, you've had enough. You've given it your best shot. You can stand down. You can back off. You can rest now.
Which sets up this problem for all of us. You're never going to feel like it. It's your job to make yourself do the crap you don't want to do so you can be everything that you're supposed to be. And you're so damn busy waiting to feel like it. And you're never going to.
And that's the problem. There are those of you, you're still immature. When your excitement is up, your effort is up. But when your excitement goes down, your effort goes down. For some of you, you're too seasonal. When you're excited, man, you coming to work the first week, the first month, the first 3 months when you got that job, you were excited, and so you was putting forth effort. You on blade, now you got comfortable, and you're not excited no more. And guess what happened? Your effort has gone down. So do me a favor, get off of that feeling stuff. Get off your excitement. We're not dealing with feelings because feelings go up and down. You don't have to be excited. You made a commitment to that job. Did nobody force you to take that job? You signed your name on the dotted line. And commitment said, I don't care how I feel. I don't care if I'm excited. I don't care if I'm pumped up. I don't care if I'm fired up. You made a commitment. Now it's time to put up.
Lazy people do a little work and think they should be winning, but winners work as hard as possible and still worry if they're being lazy. So if you're a winner, you ain't comfortable.
Every day I get up and give everything I got to everything I'm a part of simply because this is who I am. Like the only thing I need every day of my life is 86,400 seconds. That's it. Like I don't need some reward. Like the only thing I need is breath in my body and I'm flat out going, get it.
A person with passion always stands out. The world is so full of average that once you have passion and a sense of energy in your life, it distinguishes you. When you're passionate about something, it isn't reasonable, but you do it anyway. Passion will take you where nothing else will ever take you. It'll give you that decided edge. It'll help you to stand out.
When you want to become a diamond, your whole attitude change, your whole mindset, your thinking, your relationships, the decisions that you make, how you spend your time, your energy, all of it changes. See, this is something that you can't be in this business. This business has to be in you.
You take advantage of this opportunity. You let everything else go. You eat different. You study different. You practice different.
You don't belong at the bottom, and it's time for you to get your butt from down there. It's time for you to stop being comfortable at the bottom. Get your butt up and get to where you're supposed to be. You are a royal priesthood. Get where you belong. Do what you're supposed to do. Live like you're supposed to live.
Get better every day. Socrates didn't know much. There wasn't much he held for certain. But he was sure, he said, that we cannot remain as we are. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you've done. Nobody is as good as they could be. Nobody is perfect. Everybody can improve. There are few self-fulfilling prophecies more important or more dangerous than this. If you think you have room to grow, you do, and you will. If you think you're as good as you can be, you're right. You won't get any better. It has been said that Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback in history, the youngest and the oldest to win a Super Bowl, isn't obsessed with winning. That's not what he focuses on. He's obsessed with improving the accuracy of his touchdown passes in the fourth quarter. He's obsessed with getting a little bit faster at releasing the football. He's not willing to stay the same, even though that same is very consistently the best in the league. The process of getting better, that's his drug. That's the dragon he chases. That's how he is able to defy aging and all expectations. The Japanese word for this is kaizen. Continual improvement. Always finding something to work on, to make a little progress on. Never being satisfied, always looking to grow. Revolution, transformation, that's what amateurs chase. The pros are after evolution. If the first step is just showing up, committing to doing something each day, then the next step is finding something to focus on getting better at each day. And in this, where cumulative improvement meets compounding returns, we can harness one of the most powerful forces on earth. Think about it. Most people don't even show up. Of the people who do, most don't really push themselves. So to show up and be disciplined about daily improvement. You are the rarest of the rare, and if improvement sounds difficult, how about just making fewer mistakes? This is what Gehrig's manager said about him. The secret to Gehrig's incredible trajectory as an athlete wasn't just his commitment. It was that he never made the same mistake twice. The guy who began his career blowing at least one play per inning improved to one mistake per game, to one per week, to one per month. To err is human. But to err is each day is to become closer to the divine. We not only hold ourselves to a standard, but we ratchet the standard up as we go. Just as with weight training, what we're lifting should be steadily increasing with each subsequent workout. Our unwillingness to be satisfied with our performance, to be done with our progress, is what keeps us from plateauing. It drives us forward. Is it a little discouraging that we never seem to arrive, that our standards rise just out of reach of our abilities? Absolutely not. We move the goalposts so the game doesn't get boring, and more important, so it never ends. Ultimately, this brings us more pleasure and more satisfaction. We reach heights we'd never have been able to see otherwise. Do you want to be rotting or ripening? Are you getting better? Because if you're not, then you're probably getting worse. Anyone, whether they're a professional athlete or a house cleaner, can get better at their job. You can get better at being a person, a citizen, a son or a daughter. You can get better at how you think, how you focus, what you think about. Just as one person delights in improving his farm and another his horse, Epictetus would say, riffing as it happens on Socrates. So I delight in attending to my improvement day by day. He said this as a man who clawed his way out of slavery. He said this from exile. He said this as one of the wisest men in the ancient world. And still, he was focused on how he could get better every day. In every way, one can imagine that for Epictetus, this discipline would have been extremely helpful in those dark times, because it gave him something to focus on, something only he controlled, not his master, not society, not his station in life. But this discipline is also helpful in the good times too, preventing one from getting too cocky or complacent. It doesn't matter what the scoreboard says, or the bank balance, or the sales figures, or the headlines. You know whether you're getting better or worse, whether you're making progress day to day. And if you are, wonderful. If you know there is room for improvement, also wonderful. Either way, your marching orders are the same. Come what may, success or failure, fame or misfortune. A focus on progress lets us look ourselves in the mirror with pride and ignore all the commotion in the background. It's the journey of a lifetime. In fact, that's the way to think about all of this. How much progress could you make if you made just a little each day over the course of an entire life? What might this journey look like? Where might it lead if each bit of progress you made presented both the opportunity and the obligation to make a little more progress, and you seized those opportunities, you lived up to those obligations each and every time? Will you choose to take this journey? Will you continue on, even when you've reached further than you ever thought you could go? Or will you stop there? Are you going to keep practicing? Or have you decided that this is good enough? That you're good enough? Will you remain as you are? or become what you're capable of. Because once you stop getting better, there's only one direction to go. Do the best you can. The Emperor says in Marguerite Yourcena's beautiful novel Memoirs of Hadrian, do it over again. Then still improve, even if ever so slightly, those retouches. It's a beautiful irony. You're never content with your progress, and yet you're always content. Because you're making progress.
What does it mean to live an infinite life? Clearly, our lives are finite. We're born, we die, we come, we go. But life is infinite. The game of life will continue with us or without us. Which means every single one of us has a choice. We don't get to choose the nature of the game. Life is infinite. We don't even get to choose if we want to play in the game or not. Once you're born, you're in it. We get one choice. Do you want to play with a finite mindset, or do you want to play with an infinite mindset? To play with a finite mindset means waking up every day and say, I'm going to be the best, I'm going to be better than everybody else, I'm going to accumulate more power, more responsibility, more money, whatever it is, whatever your metric is, I'm going to get more than anybody else. Me. And when you die, you take none of it with you. Or we can choose to live our lives with an infinite mindset, which means I'm going to leave this world, this school, in better shape than I found it. It means I'm going to devote my life to see that those around me rise. And we know that we're living with an infinite mindset because our obsession is seeing that we have an impact on the lives of the people around us. We've all had teachers, and some of you are those teachers, where 20 or 30 years from now, I can go to one of your students and say, you're a remarkable human being, you've accomplished so much in your life. How did you become the person you are today? And they will tell me your name. We all remember the teacher who believed in us. We all remember the teacher who had our backs. We all remember the teacher who saw something in us that nobody else saw. We've forgotten all the others, but we remember those couple. And that's what it means to live with an infinite mindset. It means we devote ourselves to that mindset for everyone in our lives. That other teachers will say that about us. Other principals will say that about us. Other students will say that about us. Our friends will say that about us. I am who I am today because of you, and I will commit to live the same life that you taught me how to live. And you will literally live on beyond your own lifestyle, your own lifetime. That when you're gone, others will carry your work for you. This is what it means to live an infinite life, and it is just a choice.
Nobody changes until they change their energy. When you change your energy, you change your life. It's the way it is. When you stop using your enemy to reaffirm your addiction to hatred, when you stop using your best friend to reaffirm your addiction to suffering, when you stop using your Facebook to reaffirm your addiction to insecurity, when you stop that whole process and you start going inward and you're no longer relying on those outer things that create those emotions, and you start creating those inner emotional states, you start changing your energy. Now, whatever is no longer a vibrational match between you and that past, present reality is going to fall away. Right. They're just going to spiral out. You're no longer putting your attention on them. In other words, the stronger the emotion you feel with some problem in your life, the more you give it your attention. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. You're giving your power away, your life force. Lower the volumes of that emotion, you take your attention off that person, you're calling energy back to you. And you're building your own electromagnetic field. We've seen the evidence of that in many events, because when people start overcoming themselves, the first day, not always, but the energy of the room will drop. Why? Because they're drawing from the field to build their own field. Now when they build their own field the next day and the fields start interfering with the people next to them, whoop, the energy in the room just keeps going up. So now there's no longer a vibrational match between you and your coworker. Be prepared, because that old known thing is going to fall away because you're no longer emotionally and energetically connected to it. So then when you get in that state, it's not a time to try to put it back together, because at the same time these things are unraveling and they're moving towards chaos, and chaos is just unpredictable order. Right. It's novelty, the newness of an experience that you can't predict is chaos. If you apply the formula, and all potentials in the quantum field exist as electromagnetic potentials. They are possibilities. When they begin to synchronize coherently, your brain and heart, you got a strong Wi-Fi signal, because now you're putting out a very laser coherent signal. When there's a synchronization between your energy and that potential that exists in the future, but it really exists in the present moment, because that's where they exist in the quantum. Now,
when you're going through hell and everything is going against you, the easiest thing in the world to do is to start thinking negative.
The impulse to dream has been slowly beaten out of me through the experience of life. And that's what causes many of us to give up the experiences and the challenges, the defeats, the disappointments, and the failures of life. It's a natural inclination for us to put ourselves down. See, we are born negative, I think, in a negative consciousness because we live in a negative world. This world will try and beat you down. So you've got to begin to guard your mind against negative programming. Like turn off the television. Don't watch the news. If you look at the news, you cannot feel good looking at the news. It turns your power down. You've got to be conscious of that. Just try this. Just experiment with yourself. But start filtering the stuff you allow to come in your mind. So you've got to guard the kinds of things that you put in your mind. See, if you don't program your mind will be programmed because human beings are goal-oriented.
Every time you hear that voice in your head telling you, we can't do this. This is too hard. This is too painful. This isn't worth it. You got to tell it to shut up. That voice is a liar. Don't allow that negative voice to overpower you. You block that out. It doesn't take any energy, any drive to stay down there on a low level, but it takes everything in you to pull yourself up, to tell yourself this is temporary. I can get through this. I'm better than this. I'm bolder than this. I'm stronger than this. This will not break me.
When you know that whatever you're seeking, it's also seeking you. You don't worry. You don't run scared. You don't think somebody's going to take it from you. You listen to your inner voice and you always take the high road. There will be the tendency, the natural inclination to take the low road. You must resist that.
Now is the time to take control. You focus on your strength. You focus on your abilities. Unquestionably, trust yourself. Take the leap of faith and believe that everything's going to be all right.
Anybody can hate. Anybody can be revengeful. Some people rather get revenge than get ahead in life. Anybody can do that. Anybody can hold a grudge. Doesn't take any greatness on that. Don't need any motivation and encouragement to hold a grudge. Have some resentment in your heart and some bitterness. But the real challenge about growth and moving into your greatness is to continue to be positive when hard times and obstacles run up against you and not allow that default negative mind to take over.
So you've got to learn to stand up to yourself inside yourself and short circuit, override that conversation that's always going on. 85% of what that conversation will tell you is negative. It's negative. It will tell you you're tired when you really are not tired. It will tell you you can't do it. It will fill you with fear. So you've got to watch that conversation. And when you find it going on, you've got to stand up to it and say, I'm going to do this anyhow. I'm afraid, but I'm afraid not to do it. And I'm not going to let you stop me. Turn off things that can contribute to your fear. Turn a deaf ear to people that all they can do is talk about how negative things are because they have bought into the consciousness of the world. Start attending workshops, seminars, listening to tapes on a daily basis to begin to recondition your mind, to retrain your thinking. Faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. Listen to things that can empower you, that can enable you to create a new reality for yourself and a new life for yourself. You might appear to be strange around most people.
People are going to think you're crazy, but that's okay. You're not trying to be like them. You're cut from a different cloth. You deserve to be a winner. And winners don't think about losses. They don't focus on what could happen. They concentrate on the possibilities of winning.
The biggest challenge that you will have in life is you. Is there's no enemy within. The enemy outside can do us no harm.
Tell me one thing in your life that is great that came as a result of being comfortable.
Most of us aren't defeated in one decisive battle. We are defeated one tiny, seemingly insignificant surrender at a time that chips away at who we should really be. It isn't that you wake up one day and decide, that's it, I'm going to be weak. No. It is a slow, incremental process. It chips away at our will. It chips away at our discipline.
Move out of your comfort zone. It's the courage to move into your zone of discomfort where you feel awkward and clumsy and sometimes alone. The comfort zone is one of the greatest enemies of human potential and of your potential.
The people that are really successful, they're not looking for comfort. They're looking for excitement. They're looking for potential. Give up this old idea, I just want to be comfortable. Quit lying to yourself. You know you seek more than comfort.
So understand that when you're trying to avoid the pain, when you're trying to avoid the struggle, when you're trying to avoid the hard things in life, you are actively choosing to be average. Start putting some pressure on. Put some pressure on yourself. Get out here and get about it.
Once you figure out that you're in a race amongst billions of people that live in this world, you're in a race by yourself. You have a purpose, and it's your purpose, not everybody else's purpose. It is your purpose and only your purpose, and it's your race.
That means you are persistently bigger than your excuses. You are persistently bigger than feeling lazy. And you are persistently beating the feelings that typically stop you.
Stop coming up with excuses. Don't give yourself permission to continue to live a small life. You can't fit a big dream into a small life. Give yourself permission to go for it, to test yourself, to challenge yourself, to live full.
When the sun comes up, you've got all the books, you've got all the tapes, you've got all the access. Now it's time to hunt. And what separates you from everybody else is that when it's time to hunt, you're ready to hunt.
What I've come to appreciate when you're working on changing your life, changing some bad habit, getting out of addictive situations or relationships, or working to build a dream or making a difference in our society, it's hard.
There are going to be all kinds of challenges that we all must face. You cannot live in this world without a challenge. You cannot live in this world without a struggle.
Greatness is right on the other side of pain. So what are you running from it for? You say you want to be successful, then push through it. Stop making excuses and go get it.
The lack of self-discipline is the major cause of failure, frustration, underachievement, and unhappiness in life. It causes us to make excuses and sell ourselves short. Perhaps the two biggest enemies of success, happiness, and personal fulfillment are first the path of least resistance and second, the expediency factor. The path of least resistance is what causes people to take the easy way in almost every situation. They seek shortcuts to everything. They arrive at work at the last minute and leave at the first opportunity. They look for get-rich, quick schemes and easy money. Over time, they develop the habit of always seeking an easier, faster way to get the things they want, rather than doing what is hard but necessary to achieve real success. The expediency factor, which is an extension of the law of least resistance, is even worse when leading people to failure and underachievement. This principle says people invariably seek the fastest and easiest way to get the things they want, right now, with little or no concern for the long-term consequences of their behavior. In other words, most people do what is expedient, what is fun and easy, rather than what is necessary for success. Every day, and every minute of every day, there is a battle going on inside of you between doing what is right, hard, and necessary, like the angel on one shoulder, or doing what is fun, easy, and of little or no value, like the devil on your other shoulder. Every minute of every day, you must fight and win this battle with the expediency factor and resist the pull of the path of least resistance if you truly desire to become everything you are capable of becoming.
And then when you see people take on more responsibility and decide that they're going to aim up and confront their suffering honestly and forthrightly, that their lives get better and the lives of people around them get better too. And so that's very strange as well, because it also means that the pathway to less suffering is through suffering, right? And that would be hopeful if the world was constituted that way. It's like, well, there's suffering. How do you make it worse? Run away. How do you make it better? Confront it. Yeah, but it's suffering. It's like, yeah, but it's there. There it is. It's right there. It's a precondition for existence or something like that. And it's like you have something important to do as well. And you confront it, and that's the pathway to transcending it.
We need to figure out, like, now, today, what is, the best way to live your life? What is the, there's got to be ways where you can be putting forward the most positive energy. I mean, we know objectively what's causing pollution. We know objectively what's causing birth defects, and we're taking in too much chemicals and not enough vitamins. We know objectively all this stuff. We know how to organize our world, and yet we don't do it. We know how to organize our health, and yet very few people do it. We know all these things. The right path to, like, being, like, a happy, healthy person is to do all the shit that we already know you're supposed to do. Take care of your body. Take care of your health. Take care of your mind, your stress. Meditate, be kind to people. We all know that. I mean, you ask anybody, they know how to get by and to be the most evolved version of you that you can be. I mean, it's not like a magical checklist. If you talk to people about it, you said, okay, here you got a person, you want to improve them. What are the things you're going to do to them? Okay, well, if I was a life coach, the first thing I would say is this guy's got to get on a diet that makes it healthy. I don't mean a diet just to lose weight. I mean just healthy foods in your body. Many, many vegetables. Start working out your body and get a better sense of, like, how this machine feels when it's moving, it's flowing better, there's less tension in it, your mind feels, like, relaxed, and you enjoy every single moment of the day better. Step 1, everybody knows that step, right? What's step 2? Be cool to people. Be nice to as many people as you can. Smile at as many people as you can. Have them smile back at you. Tip well when you go to restaurants. Just do the most you can. Be as nice as you can, and just still manage to not have people walk all over you. Just get through this life as nice as you can.
The average human is capable of unbelievable improvement. That's the thing that's my superpower. I don't think I'm special. I just realized in looking at the science that humans actually are capable of this incredible amount of change. It is the strategy that our species took to be able to pass knowledge on through culture rather than having to have everything be instincts. And in having that layer where we can drink in the culture and read books and learn from other people, and even now we're all learning from things that people thought thousands of years ago and wrote down, like, it's insane. It travels through to you, and all of that wisdom stored in culture, so that as your parents are teaching you things, they're actually encapsulating a ton of the wisdom that is endured, whether it's endured from religion or books or whatever. Like, you're bathed in a culture that is giving you all of this incredible information. And so recognizing how powerful and potent that is incredibly meaningful. But you have to understand that you have to allow yourself to believe that you can learn from that culture in the same way that everybody else can. And that's what you're designed to do. Now, for me, that completely gave me the confidence, and I put confidence in air quotes because it's not like I believe something specific about myself. I just believed that the human animal is capable of this extraordinary change. And so now I just needed to point myself in that direction. Now, this is the key. Once I realized that I could get better at anything, it dawned on me that how I spend my time is a spiritual consideration. And I didn't want to die with potential that I failed to turn into skill set. That, to me, that speaks to me. How much of my potential can I actually turn into skill set and get good at this stuff and push and grow and improve? Like, that to me is just this incredibly intoxicating thing. So, for me, the discipline, the confidence, all of that comes from recognizing the human animal. Nothing special about me. The human animal is capable of extraordinary change. Again, I'm doing it, but I'm capable of getting this change. Therefore, I can do anything I set my mind to. Therefore, it really matters what I choose to spend my time on. Therefore, I want to put structure and discipline in my life so that I can move forward on things that excite me, that matter to me, because I really can have this big, crazy dream that I'm thinking of. So my discipline is really born of my desire to have that thing, coupled with my belief that I can actually get there. Desire and belief. Get those two things right, and the discipline will take care of itself.
You're going to have sometimes low moments when you won't want to get out of bed. You just want to stay there. At times you won't want to come out the house.
It's hard living. Life is hard. It's hard handling just the tragedies of life. It's hard. When you're working on something and you put everything you have in it, and it doesn't work out, you lose your money and other people's money.
It's hard. You will go through things, and while you're going through them, you can't understand why it's happening to you.
See, the point is, you don't know how much future you've got. What's gone is gone. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Some of you have had divorces. Some of you have probably had bankruptcies. Some of you have had terrible things happen in the past. But what's gone is gone. It's in the past. And to spend your time focusing on the past is to spend the only thing that you've got, and that's what's right here, right now, because the sand never stops running. This is all we've got. And to spend your time now thinking of what happened there is making absolute certain that the future is going to be the same as the past. Now, I don't suppose many of us spend a lot of time thinking about that, but a lot of us spend a lot of time making that error.
Now, you can either accept that or you can get to work. That's all it is. You just begin. You do the math. You solve one problem, and you solve the next one.
Whatever drama you may be dealing with, this is not the end of you. No matter what it is not the end. You can't quit now. And the only way out is through.
All you do is you fall down, get back up again, fall down, get back up again, fall down, get back up again. That's how you win.
You got to be bold in life, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not bold, if you're not standing up inside yourself, if you're not willing to call into being the highest and the strongest that's within you when you're facing life's challenges, life will trample you. But see, when you discover the truth of this goodness, this power that you have within you, that truth will set you free from ever being a victim in life. That truth will enable you to handle things with a level of equanimity that will surprise you. Getting unstuck means that you are going to start living life on your terms, rather than just gliding through every day on automatic. That you have a special power within. That you know that things are going to get better for you. You know that you can handle this. And because you want some different kind of results in your life, you've got to decide that I'm going to go all out.
Now listen to me. I don't care what you're going through. If you're not dead, he ain't through with you yet. As long as you waking up, you still in the game. As long as you alive, you can still make it happen. As long as that breath in your nostril boot, you still in the game. You still can win. Now get your butt up. Why do you keep crying? Why me, God? Why did I get MS? Why did I get cancer? Why did my mama die? Why did I get fired? Listen, you got put through that because what that does, that tension produces greatness. Stop running from it and run to it. Lions don't cry. Lions don't give up. Lions don't quit. Lions hunt. That's what we do for a living. We turn tragedy into triumph.
You'll never obtain any substantial measure of material wealth if you insist upon living your life as if you are looking back through your rearview mirror on your automobile. Nevertheless, it seems to be a very common error which many people have turned into a habit. Let the dead bury the dead. Let it go. I don't care how bad it was, let it go. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when you look back in retrospect at that terrible thing that's happened, you're going to find it was probably one of the best things that ever happened to you. Advancement of all kinds is preceded by a crisis. The greater the crisis, the greater the opportunity for advancement. Or you could put it another way. You could say, out of all confusion comes order. A higher degree of order than that which existed prior to the confusion. Because you see, the confusion was a learning state. Remember, I was pointing out that business is fun. It really is. I see business as a game. It's a game we're playing, and we play to win. And when we're winning, we're having fun. And when we're losing, we're learning. Let's treat both of the experiences exactly the same. They're learning experiences. Now we say, remember the old adage which says, let the dead bury the dead. Stop looking back on your life and worrying about the things which have already occurred and which you can no longer alter. That's like trying to change the time you got out of bed this morning. You're never going to be able to do it. That stands for eternity. You cannot go back and change it, since you cannot let it go. Pursuing that kind of mental activity will never lead to anything worthwhile, any worthwhile accomplishment in your life. You should understand, moreover, that all accomplishments in your life, you should understand, moreover, that all of the great achievers of the past have been visionary figures. They did with their life what, like Scott was saying, he does with his music. He heard it in here. They see their life in here. They're building visions of a great future. We've got a vision of a great company. We've already got a great company. We want a better one. We serve a lot of people. We want to serve more. And as we do, we receive greater rewards. Because when we receive greater rewards, we become more comfortable, more creative, and we can provide more service. It's a beautiful cycle that we're in. Looking into the past is a self-doom fulfilling cycle. You just keep getting it worse, worse, worse. We've all done it, so we know what it's like. These visionary figures were men and women who projected into the future, and they did not belabor over things which had already passed. They thought of what could be rather than what already was, and then they moved themselves into action to bring these things into fruition.
If there were tips for success, everybody would have been successful. There are no tips for success. Only those who are not so successful, or those who are not successful, think somewhere if you read 10 points in a book, you're going to be successful. We need to understand this. If you want to be successful, don't seek success. What you seek is competence. If you enable yourself, and if you do something well, other people will say you're a success. If you think, I'm a success, it's foolish, isn't it? You're doing something, and you're doing it well. Other people in the town or in the country or in the world, people will say, oh, he is doing something really successful. They're looking up to you. That's fine. You look up to yourself. That's madness, okay? You don't seek success. You seek empowerment, you seek competence, you do it the best that you can do. You cannot do as well as somebody, but you can do the best that you can do. So if you do your best, if your best is good enough, the world will recognize. If it is not, you will be happy. So what does success look like? What does it take? Well, you know, I know family and friends who always have their breakfast on time. And after breakfast, of course, they must have coffee. After coffee, of course, they must light up a cigarette and sit there nicely because they're trying to become peaceful. And then they will go to work, come back home exactly on time for lunch, eat lunch, rest for 1 or 2 hours, sleep, then evening have 1 tea, and then smoke, and then again go to work. And at 8 o'clock, 8:30, they're back home for dinner, and then maybe other things, drink and this and that and whatever. But those who have been very successful, either in music, sport, art, business, spiritual process, doesn't matter what, those people never know when they ate, when they slept, when they got afternoon rest. So those who are committed to being successful with whatever they're doing, one important aspect of their life is they're not settling down wherever it's a bit comfortable, because comfort will happen when they lower you too in the grave. Very comfortable you are, you know. Right now, it's about ensuring that there is profoundness of experience and there is impactfulness of activity. Because if they had given you a limitless amount of time, you could do all those things. Nothing wrong, I'm not against them. But they gave you such little time with such tremendous potential of being human. That's the problem. For every one of you, your life is precious, isn't it? It's a precious life. If something is precious, where do you want to invest this life? Because what you call as my life is just a certain amount of time and energy, isn't it? As you sit here, your life is ticking away, or no? What is ticking away is not time. What is ticking away is your life. So this energy that you call as my life, how are you going to invest it? Because if you're doing something truly worthwhile, it gets over before you know what happened. Only if you're doing something worthless, it feels like a long life. Have you noticed this? On a particular day when you're very happy, 24 hours, poof. It went off like that, like a moment. You are miserable, 24 hours feels like 10 years. Have you not noticed this? So, only miserable people will have a long life. Joyful people Life goes away like that as if it's a couple of days. It passes away like that if you are creating what you really care to create. So one thing that every young person should do is, without the influence of the peers of your own age group, without the influence of your professors and your parents, without any kind of influence, somewhere you must stay by yourself at least for 2-3 days and look at it. What is it that I want to invest this precious life into? What is it that will be worthwhile today and worthwhile after 50 years for me to invest myself into? You invest your life into that, whatever it is, however small, big, it doesn't matter. If you see that this is something truly worthwhile and you invest your life in that, this will be a life of fulfillment.
I'm speaking to the people who want more, the people who want to be the fucking pinnacle, the people who want to be accomplished, the people who want to make a fucking difference. You guys are going to have to go all the fuck in.
Make a 100% commitment to give the best effort you've ever given to outwork, out-improve, out-strategize, outlast like never before.
One of the best quotes that I've ever read about it is that if you have real true freedom, you're never going to have equality of outcome, because with real true freedom, you have the freedom to not engage. Well, look, if you look at a guy like Jeff Bezos, for instance, that Amazon guy is worth more money than anybody ever, right? That guy works all day.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a maniac.
Oh, yeah.
He's acquiring all these different companies, and everything he's doing is designed to succeed. Yeah. I mean, he's just
Well, that's what
fanatical
Gates just said,
about it.
too, in a recent interview. And I know some guys that are, they're in approximately the same universe as those two, and they just work all the time.
That's all they do.
the time.
Yeah.
And they don't just work. They work so efficiently and so effectively and make use of every second in ways you can't even imagine unless you're in that sort of position. So, and doing that doesn't mean that you will succeed, but not doing it certainly means that you will fail.
Well, not doing it certainly means you will never achieve that level of success.
Obsession is wanting something so bad that I go to bed with, I wake up to it, I make whatever sacrifice, I grind, I can't live without it. You gonna get anything, you will have to pay the price. There is a price tag to greatness. You will have to work for every single thing you get. And you gotta work every single day. You gotta wake up every day and work. We do not retreat. We do not give up. We do not surrender. And the reason why most of you are not successful is because every single time stuff not going your way, you give up, you quit, you let go, and people feel weakness. They feel it. You can feel when somebody's not committed, when they're not all in, when they're not dedicated. And there's another level you get to when you go all in. Look at your belief system every single day and stick with it. Don't rush the process. Trust the process. Don't rush the process. Trust the process. Don't rush the process. Trust the process. People who do stuff consistently and on time, they surpass people who talented and gifted.
Should never be satisfied with what you got. You should double your business. Triple it.
If you accomplish something good with hard work, the labor passes quickly, but the good endures. If you do something shameful in pursuit of pleasure, the pleasure passes quickly, but the shame endures.
So as you begin to look toward making this your decade, as you begin to look toward making your life different, as you begin to look at yourself, you've got to redefine yourself. Who are you right now? And who must you become in order to create what you want? What has to change about you? What is it that you're doing right now that would be a liability for you? As you begin to look toward the future and take inventory of yourself, what is it about you right now that you've got to leave this behind because this no longer fits? Looking at where you want to go and the kind of person that you must become, the kind of standards that you have for you. What is it that you must do differently? If you want to keep on getting what you're getting, keep on doing what you're doing. It makes sense unless you change your pattern, unless you change the way you're thinking, unless you change your behavior, you're going to continue to produce the results in your life. See, all of us are winners, but some of us are producing results that we don't want. And so all you have to do is look at your game plan, look at your strategy. How is it that you have been being? What is it that you've been doing to produce this? So you're the director, you're the producer, you're writing the script, you're the star of your life. And as you begin to look at your life, you can decide whether or not it's a smash or whether or not it's a flop. That's in your hands. Look at your life. Look at where you want to go. Don't worry about your circumstances. Don't worry about your age. I have a friend who's up in age, over 70, and she wanted to build a multi-million-dollar complex. The name is Dr. Johnny Coleman. Lenders and bankers say, you can't do that. You're too old. She ignored them. That building now stands, ladies and gentlemen, a multi-million-dollar structure. But there are a lot of people who would have listened to that. There are a lot of people that would not have even gotten to that point. They would have talked themselves out of even going down to the bank to ask for it, because they've already said no to themselves. See, it's time now. If you want to make this your decade, you've got to start saying yes to your life. You've got to start saying yes to your dreams, yes to your unfolding future, yes to your potential, as opposed to saying no. See, 87% of our self-talk is negative. So you've got to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to say yes to your dreams. Why not? Why not me? Don't spend time like most people going through life complaining. Don't try and get on talk shows and tell everybody how life has done you wrong. Here's what's happening in the audience. 80% don't care, and 50% glad it's you. All right? So when you know that, you don't go around crying, oh, you know what they did to me. Who cares? Get away from me before they come back.
Even as the sun doth not wait for prayers and incantations to rise, but shines forth and is welcomed by all, so thou also wait not for clapping of hands and shouts and praise through thy duty. Nay, do good of thine own accord, and thou wilt be loved like the sun. Above all, remember that the door stands open. Be not more fearful than children, but as they, when they weary of the game, cry, I will play no more. Even so, when thou art in the light case, cry, I will play no more and depart. But if thou stayest, make no lamentation. If you choose, you are free. If you choose, you need blame no man, accuse no man. All things will be at once according to your mind and according to the mind of God. Withdraw into yourself as far as you can. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself improve. The process is mutual. Men learn while they teach. Limiting one's desires actually helps cure one's fear. Cease to hope, and you will cease to fear. Widely different as fear and hoping are, the two of them march in unison like a prisoner and the escort he is handcuffed to. Fear keeps pace with hope. Both belong to a mind in suspense, to a mind in a state of anxiety through looking into the future. Both are mainly due to projecting our thoughts far ahead of us instead of adapting ourselves to the present. I have learned to be a friend to myself, great improvement. This indeed. Such a one can never be said to be alone, but know that he who is a friend to himself is a friend to all mankind. Wild animals run from the dangers they actually see, and once they have escaped them, worry no more. We, however, are tormented alike by what is past and what is to come. A number of our blessings do us harm. Memory brings back the agony of fear, while foresight brings it on prematurely. No one confines his unhappiness to the present. For the only safe harbor in this life's tossing, troubled sea is to refuse to be bothered about what the future will bring, and to stand ready, confident, squaring the breast to take without skulking or flinching, whatever fortune hurls at it. Count your years, and you'll be ashamed to be wanting and working for exactly the same thing you wanted to avoid. Of this one thing, make sure against your dying day, that your faults die before you do. Have done with those unsettled pleasures which cost one dear. They do one harm after they're past and gone, not merely when they're in prospect. Even when they're over, pleasures of a depraved nature are apt to carry feelings of dissatisfaction, in the same way as a criminal's anxiety doesn't end with the commission of the crime, even if it's undetected at the time. Such pleasures are insubstantial and unreliable. Even if they don't do one any harm, they're fleeting in character. Look around for some enduring good instead, And nothing answers this description except what the spirit discovers for itself within itself. A good character is the only guarantee of everlasting, carefree happiness. Even if some obstacle to this comes on the scene, its appearance is only to be compared to that of clouds which drift in front of the sun without ever defeating its light.
Most people are waiting for their life to change so they can feel gratitude, to feel abundance, to feel whole. You know, that's the old model of cause and effect, you know. So if you're living with emptiness, you're living with lack, you're living with pain, most people have been conditioned that something out there has to take away this emptiness or feeling inside of them. But if you believe that you're creating your life and you're living by lack, well, lack isn't going to create abundance, right? So then it makes sense then that you don't really actually create wealth. You generate wealth. You generate abundance. So the moment you start teaching your body emotionally what that future is going to feel like before it's made manifest, well, your body, as the unconscious mind, believes it's living in that future in the present moment. Now, it's a scientific fact that it's the environment that signals the gene. The end product from an experience in the environment is an emotion. So when you begin to embrace an elevated emotion, you're beginning to signal the gene ahead of the environment. What's the importance of that? Well, genes make proteins, and proteins are responsible for the structure and the function of your body. And the expression of proteins is the expression of life. So by you creating an elevated emotion and teaching your body what that future will feel like before it's made manifest, your body's starting to live in that future reality in the present moment. Now here's the key. If you were able to become familiar with gratitude, become familiar with wholeness, become familiar with abundance, to become familiar with freedom, and you're able to generate those chemicals every single day, more than likely you would be walking around feeling like your future has already happened, and you would no longer be looking for it to happen. You would already feel like it has happened. Now, what is the importance of that? Well, you're literally becoming somebody else. So you're leaving your lack, you're leaving your guilt, you're leaving your emptiness behind. Your personality, literally, Ed, is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is your personality, and your personality is intimately connected to your personal reality, your life. So then if you want to change your life, your personal reality, you got to change your personality. And here we go again. You got to start becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts. You got to start noticing how you act, how you speak. You got to pay attention to how you're feeling. Some people would live in guilt their whole entire life and don't even know it's guilt because at least it feels like them. So then when you start doing that, you begin to objectify your subjective self. So then when you begin to make small changes, back to thought, a new thought should lead to a new choice. A new choice should lead to a new behavior. A new behavior should create a new experience, and a new experience should create a new emotion. Yes. And that new emotion is teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. Now your body is embodying the truth.
I believe in human possibility, human potential, and I think that one of our biggest limiting beliefs is the belief of how limited we really are. And so my interest is to give people the science to begin to understand how powerful they really are. And I think that science really is the language that does that really well. And the new sciences like quantum physics and neuroplasticity, neuroscience, neuroendocrinology, psychoneuroimmunology, the mind-body connection, epigenetics, all of those sciences point the finger at possibilities. So I want to create a language for people from a philosophical or theoretical standpoint for them to begin to understand what's possible. But then I want to be able to have those people begin to wire that information in their brain completely, because learning is making new connections, right, in the brain. But remembering is maintaining and sustaining those connections, and it's so much easier to lose our vision than to remember it, right? So then we have to begin to hardwire the brain or install the neurological hardware in preparation for an experience. So the more people understand what they're doing and why, then the how gets easier. So I want to then set up the conditions in an environment, in a workshop where people can begin to apply or personalize what they learn so that they can have an experience. An experience then further enriches the brain. But the prize of an experience is an emotion. And once you start feeling unlimited, once you start feeling abundant, once you start feeling worthy, now you're teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. So knowledge is for the mind and experience is for the body, and people begin to embody the truth that philosophy enough, they can repeat it over and over again. It'll become innate in them. It'll become natural, second nature. It'll become easy. They'll begin to master that philosophy. So I want people to begin to understand that thoughts are very powerful. Feelings drive our thoughts, and that they can begin to create a better life for themselves once they understand some of these principles.
Your capability is constant, but how much of it you use depends upon the identity you have for yourself. For example, if you feel certain that you are an outgoing, outrageous person, you'll tap the resources of behavior that match your identity. Whether you see yourself as a wimp or a wild man, a winner or a wallflower, will instantly shape which capabilities you access. You may have read the book Pygmalion in the classroom, which details the dramatic change in students' performance when they become convinced that they are gifted. Time and again, researchers have shown that students' capabilities are powerfully impacted by the identities they develop for themselves as the result of teachers' belief in their level of intelligence. In one study, a group of teachers were told that certain students in their classes were truly gifted and to make sure that they challenged them to continue to expand. As can be expected, these children became the top achievers in their class. What makes this study significant is that these students had not actually demonstrated higher levels of intelligence. And in fact, some had previously been labeled poor students. Yet it was their sense of certainty that they were superior, which had been instilled by a teacher's false belief, that triggered their success. The impact of this principle is not limited to students. The kind of person other people perceive you to be controls their responses to you. Often this has nothing to do with your true character. For example, if a person sees you as a crook, even if you're an honest person and do good things, this person will search for the sinister motive behind your acts. What's worse is that after making a positive change, we often allow others in our environment who have not changed their image of us to anchor our own emotions and beliefs back into our old behaviors and identities. We all need to remember that we have tremendous power to influence the identities of those we care about most. The best effect of fine persons is felt after we have left their presence. Ralph Waldo Emerson. We all will act consistently with our views of who we truly are, whether that view is accurate or not. The reason is that one of the strongest forces in the human organism is the need for consistency. Throughout our lives, we've been socialized to link massive pain to inconsistency and pleasure to being consistent. Think about it. What labels do we attach to people who say one thing and then do another, who claim to be one way and then behave another? We call them hypocritical, fickle, unstable, unreliable, wishy-washy, scatterbrained, flaky, untrustworthy. Would you like to have these labels attached to you? Would you even like to think of yourself in this way? The answer is obvious. A resounding no as a result whenever we take a stand, especially a public stand, and state what we believe, who we are, or what we're about. We experience intense pressure to remain consistent with that stand, regardless of what that inflexibility may cost us in the future. Conversely, there are tremendous rewards for remaining consistent with our stated identities. What do we call people who are consistent? We use words like trustworthy, loyal, steady, solid, intelligent, stable, rational, true blue. How would you like to have people consistently use these labels to describe you? Truth becomes irrevocably tied to your ability to avoid pain and gain pleasure. Life is a game we are all bound to lose. The man who looks for the morrow without worrying over it knows a peaceful independence and a happiness beyond all others. Whoever has said, "I have lived," receives a windfall every day he gets up in the morning. Confronting the worst-case scenario saps it of much of its anxiety, inducing power. Happiness reached via positive thinking can be fleeting and brittle. Negative visualization generates a vastly more dependable calm. It is a ridiculous thing for a man not to fly from his own badness, which is indeed possible, but to fly from other men's badness, which is impossible. Hour by hour resolve firmly to do what comes to hand with dignity and with humanity, independence, and justice. Allow your mind freedom from all other considerations. This you can do if you will approach each action as though it were your last, dismissing the desire to create an impression, the admiration of self, the discontent with your lot. See how little man needs to master for his days to flow on in quietness and piety. He has but to observe these few counsels, and the gods will ask nothing more. When force of circumstance upsets your equanimity, lose no time in recovering your self-control, and do not remain out of tune longer than you can help. Habitual recurrence to the harmony will increase your mastery of it. If you apply yourself to study, you will avoid all boredom with life. You will not long for night because you are sick of daylight. You will be neither a burden to yourself nor useless to others. You will attract many to become your friends, and the finest people will flock about you. Life is neither a glorious highlight reel nor a monstrous tragedy. Every day is a good day to live and a good day to die. Every day is also an apt time to learn and express joy and love for the entire natural world. Each day is an apt time to make contact with other people and express empathy for the entire world. Each day is perfect to accept with indifference all aspects of being. Perhaps struggle is all we have because the God of history is an atheist and nothing about his world is meant to be. So you must wake up every morning knowing that no promise is unbreakable, least of all the promises of waking up at all. This is not despair. These are the preferences of universe itself. Verbs over nouns, actions over states, struggle over hope. And here are two of the most immediately useful thoughts you will dip into. First, that things cannot touch the mind. They are external and inert. Anxieties can only come from your internal judgment. Second, that all these things you see will change almost as you look at them, and then will be no more. Constantly bring to mind all that you yourself have already seen change. The universe is change. Life is judgment. Each of us is impermanent wave of energy folded into the infinite cosmic order. Acknowledgement of the fundamental impermanence of ourselves unchains us from the strictures of living a terrestrial life stuck like a needle, vacillating between the magnetic pull of endless desire and the terror of death. Once we achieve freedom from any craving and all desires, and we are relieved of all titanic fears, we release ourselves from living in perpetual distress. Once we rid ourselves from any impulse to exist, we discover our true place in the universal order. The composition of our life filament is exactly right when we accept the notion of living and dying with equal stoicism. You have the power to strip away many superfluous troubles located wholly in your judgment, and to possess a large room for yourself, embracing in thought the whole cosmos, to consider everlasting time, to think of the rapid change in the parts of each thing, of how short it is from birth until dissolution, and how the void before birth and that after dissolution are equal.
Weakness. Do I have weakness? I am nothing but weakness. I'm not naturally strong or fast or flexible. I'm certainly not the smartest person in the world. I get emotional over stupid things. I eat the wrong foods. I don't sleep enough. I procrastinate and I waste time. I care too much about meaningless things and not enough about important things. My ego is too big. My mind is too small, often trapped inside itself. Now, all that being said, I am the same. A person's strength is often their biggest weakness, but their weaknesses can become strengths.
Success, guys, a very, very lonely road, man. Along that road, you're not going to see too many friends. You see your shadow most often. You got to trust in the heart of hearts. Inside what you're doing, what you believe in, is a worthy cause, a winnable fight.
I wish I could tell you you tired, go take a break. I wish I could tell you tired, rest for a year. I wish I could tell you that it's gonna get easier. I wish I could tell you it's gonna get easier. I wish I could tell you that if you just keep going, it's gonna get lighter.
I dare you to take a stand today to say no more. I will no longer accept this for my life. I dare you to take action today. I dare you to write your goals down and get someone to hold you accountable. I dare you to hold yourself accountable. I dare you to give up everything that is keeping you from your dream, to say no to all the negative influences. I dare you to pick up a book instead of a drink. I dare you to work harder than you think you did yesterday. I dare you to prove them wrong. I dare you to prove yourself right. I dare you to stand up as a man or as a strong woman, as whoever you are, and declare that you are going to claim a bigger and better life for yourself.
When you get to the point where enough is enough, when you get to the point where it hurt real bad, when you get to the point when it's over, when they're tired, when they're frustrated, when they're ready to give up, when they spent their last dime, that's when they get started. But what you cannot do is you cannot quit doing the process. You cannot give up because it ain't what you see. You cannot give up.
Pain is there to make you better. Without struggle, there can be no victory. And let me tell you, when you've been through pain, when you've fought for where you are, you ain't gonna let anyone take away what you got. When you've earned it and paid your dues and suffered and failed, been hurt and been down, and you get back up, when pain and struggle comes to face you again, you look it in the face and stand it down. Because you've been through too much. You're too strong now. Everything that has happened to you up until this point has made you who you are. And it will continue to mold you into who you will be.
How do you overcome the suffering of life? Be a better person. That's how you do it. Well, that's hard. It takes responsibility. And I think, you said to someone, you want to have a meaningful life? Everything you do matters. That's the definition of a meaningful life. But everything you do matters. You're going to have to carry that with you. Or do you want to just forget about the whole meaning thing, and then you don't have any responsibility because who the hell cares? That you can wander through life doing whatever you want, gratifying impulsive desires for how useful that's going to be. And you're stuck in meaninglessness, but you don't have any responsibility. Which one do you want? Well, ask yourself, which one are you pursuing? And you'll find very rapidly that it isn't the majority of your soul that's pursuing the whole meaning thing, because, well, look what you have to do that. You have to take on the fact that life is suffering. You have to put yourself together in the face of that.
It starts with yourself, man. You got to start diving into those things that feel afraid. You don't gain confidence by going to a spot that makes you feel good. It's going to be a false reality. And the second life gives you that challenge, all you want to do is go back to what made you confidence or what gave you confidence. Is that happy spot? No. What gives you confidence, what gave me confidence, was spending years at a kitchen table trying to learn how to read and write on my own. Realizing I can't learn the way you learn. I can't. But I can learn. What gives you confidence, not being afraid, is overcoming the fear. I used to stutter severely bad. So right now, I don't know how many people are going to watch this. You know what gives me confidence? Is knowing I no longer care if I sit here and start stuttering. That's what gives me confidence, is facing these things, overcoming them. And maybe not overcoming them every day. Facing and facing and facing. Pretty soon, like this, oh man, this is where it's at. It's not in that comfort zone. It's in the discomfort zone is where my confidence is getting built. Mm-hmm. That's where it's getting built. But people want an easier answer. There has to be an easier way. It's not. I'm sorry. I searched for it my entire life. I did. I lied. I did everything. And I still felt empty. I walk around with a backpack with all my stuff with no car. And I walk around happiest person in the world. Have nothing. Happy as hell. It's because I found out the whole key to life. It's not money. Have to face yourself. So many people live to be 100 years old and they die miserable, having everything, because they never examine. I call it my live autopsy. You never examine this. Happiness, peace, enlightenment, all up here, man. It's all up here. And when I start talking like this, people are, man, no, it's the truth, man. It's all up here. You just gotta be willing to go and face it. And that's the hard part.
Attitude is a reflection, a result of a person's will. It is incalculably powerful. It can bring about marvelous results for us, but we need to train it patiently, day by day. Now let's talk about the attitudes of people who are successful. The top 5% of the people who go sailing through life from one success to another and who, even when they fail at something, shrug it off and head right out again. No matter who the person is or what he does, men and women in sales, business executives, people in all the professions, wives and mothers, students, top people in the armed forces, public servants, men and women in the service of religion, working men and women in all fields of endeavor, wherever you find a person doing an outstanding job and getting outstanding results, you will find a person with the right kind of attitude. These people take the attitude toward themselves that they can accomplish what they set out to accomplish, that there's no good reason on earth why they can't be competent, successful. They have a healthy attitude toward themselves and, as a result, toward life and the things they want to accomplish. And because of this, they achieve some remarkable things, and they come to be called successful, outstanding, brilliant, lucky, and a lot of other things. They're quite frequently no more brilliant or outstanding than the majority of the people by whom they're surrounded. But they did develop the right attitude, and they found their accomplishments not too difficult, and many times surprisingly easy, simply because it seems that so few are really trying, really believe in themselves. Successful people come in all shapes and sizes and in widely varying degrees of intelligence, background, and so on. But they all have one thing in common. They expect more good out of life than bad. They expect to succeed more than they fail. If you want something worthwhile, take the attitude that there are a lot more reasons why you can have it than there are that you cannot, and set out to earn it. Go after it, work at it, ask for it, and 9 times out of 10, you'll get it. Our environment is really a mirror of our mental attitude. If we don't like our environment, we have to change our attitude first.
Your ability and willingness to discipline yourself to accept personal responsibility for your life are essential to happiness, health, success, achievement, and personal leadership. Accepting responsibility is one of the hardest of all disciplines, but without it, no success is possible. The failure to accept responsibility and the attempt to foist responsibility for things in your life that make you unhappy onto other people, institutions, and situations completely distort cause and effect, undermine your character, weaken your resolve, and diminish your humanity. They lead to making endless excuses. There is a direct relationship between the acceptance of responsibility and the amount of personal control you feel you have over your life. This means that the more you accept responsibility, the greater sense of control you experience. There is also a direct relationship between the amount of control you feel you have and how positive you feel. The more you feel that you have a high sense of control in the important areas of your life, the more positive and happy you are in everything you do. When you accept responsibility, you feel strong, powerful, and purposeful. Accepting responsibility eliminates the negative emotions that rob you of happiness and contentment.